So I did a vlog a couple of days ago, or even yesterday, um, and yesterday was the 13th of October, and you'll be seeing this around the 20 something of October, I suspect. So I did a vlog yesterday and talked about our first few years in France, so financially our first few years in France, and it went okay. It was a reasonable vlog. And then I moved on to show you what Mark was planning to do to the fireplace. He had salvaged from down at the chicken coop a piece of boiler housing, a big red piece of metal that he was going to cut down and make into a baffle for the chimney breast. And I went to show you that, and I put the car registration number in the shot again, and I've twice tried to blur it and end up blurring the wrong bit, and it takes forever to then republish. It takes hours before you get to see whether you've done it right or not. And I hadn't done it right twice, and I haven't got the vlog on my phone. I deleted it, and I just thought, oh fuck it, I'll do it again. It's not desperate. And probably because I had done the vlog and talked about the financial situation when we first came over, it'll be easier to talk about more succinctly, I think, in another vlog. So, and I was thinking about it earlier before making this, that I am not someone that does a budget. That is not me. If you've got any emotional problems, I can do that for you. If you need help with them, if you've had trauma, I can help you. If you need support emotionally, I can help you. I can do all of that. I can care for you. I can do a bit of nursing as well if you need, if you've got broken bits or whatever, but not a budget. That isn't me. It's not up my street. So it's always been a bit precarious, I suppose you'd say, with managing money. I'm not stupid, but I often get things wrong, and think I've accounted for this and I haven't, and we used to get to the end of the month and you'd take a deep breath for a few days waiting for money to drop into the account. So anyway, I thought I'd hold my hand up and say I'm not a budgeter, and talk about what I'm good at and what I'm not good at before I start. But when we came in 2006, which is 16 and a half years ago now, um, the exchange rate, pound to euro, was 1.46, which was pretty good. It had been a lot better than that for people before us, but 1.46 was good for us. It worked. We only had Mark's NHS pension, and we managed carefully, I think, taking deep breaths, making mistakes. It's I'm going to say illegal. I think that's probably the wrong word. It probably is illegal. It's illegal to write a cheque that you can't honour in France, and you also come unstuck if you go overdrawn without permission. And I was really worried about that and really careful about that. So that made me extra careful. I didn't want to come unstuck, especially early on. When my French was really poor, the risk of coming unstuck and not being able to explain myself or work out what's wrong was really worrying. So yeah, the exchange rate wasn't bad, and we did what we did, and the exchange rate stayed like that for a while, and then it started to go down. And our first few months here, this house, we came here in November 2006, and we had oil-fired central heating. And we ran that, and it was really comfortable. We were really warm. My family arrived at Christmas, and we were all here, and we were all warm, and we were all using hot water and having hot showers, and all was good. And then come early February, when here in the middle of France, or not the middle of France, but where we are in France, it can be really cold, and it was really cold, and we ran out of oil. And the tank, the 1,200 litre tank, had no indicator on it. There was no way you could tell how much oil you'd got. But we ran out of oil. So we went and ordered some more oil. The oil that we'd first had cost about €500 to fill 1,200 litres. So it was like, oh, that's okay, we can do that. There was something going on then, 2000 and early 2007, something was going on, I can't remember what. But the company couldn't actually say to us, yes, you can have your oil tomorrow, or you'll have it then, and they couldn't tell us what price it would be. So we had to wait, and we waited. We had and still do have a gas bottle heater. We have two now. We had one then, so we resorted to using that. We also had an open fire when we came here. It was an open fire, and we had lots of shoots, lots of bits of wood that we'd bought when we came in November. So we could have the open fire, and we got the backup of the gas fire, but we had no hot water. So we had to heat water up on the stove for washing. So for a couple of days we were out without oil, and then the oil truck turned up one morning at, I don't know, about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we were still in bed, and it was a freezing cold February winter morning. I went out in my dressing gown and sorted that out, let him into the garage, which was where the oil tank was, and he filled it up, and that I think cost about €800. And we started thinking, and we knew it was going up again, and we just thought, we can't run the heating the way we're running it. We can't afford to be filling up every 3 months. So there's no thermostat in the room, so you can't turn the heat down in the room. It's either on or off. But there was a control on the pipe, the heating system. There was a control that you could reduce the flow going through. So we reduced the flow, and then in doing that, I didn't get warm. I didn't ever really feel warm in here. I got a radiator next to me here, and that didn't ever get hot. And the radiator above it, which is in the bedroom above the front door, didn't heat up at all. So they must be both at the end of the line, and neither of them heated up when the heating had been turned down. So it wasn't great. And then, so that was 2007, and I think it might have been 2007 or 2008. Mother-in-law sent us a cheque out of the blue. You go to the post box, bring your post in, and there's a cheque. We've been doing that ever since 2008. Go and check the post, there might be money in it. Sent us a cheque, and it meant that we could buy, she'd inherited some money from an uncle, and she just divided it between Mark and his sister. We were able to buy a wood burner, and we still have the wood burner. So we've had the wood burner since about 2008. It's a good one, and we've replaced the bricks in it a couple of times, and we've replaced the baffle plate, I think, at least once. Throat plate, I think other people call it. And it's really good, and it pumps out loads of heat. And we got rid of the central heating boiler. We got rid of the tank. Somebody bought it. We don't have central heating any longer. We just have the wood fire and 2 gas bottle heaters for backup. And the wood burner pumps out a lot of heat. Doesn't quite bring Mark's room up to a temperature that's comfortable for sitting in. So he tops up with either a gas heater or an electric radiator. But this room gets really warm. And it's a very efficient wood burner. So the exchange rate, so the oil went up, the exchange rate started going down, life became harder financially. We had to adapt to getting less money per month coming through due to the exchange rate, because our money comes from the UK. A lot of people back then, and I don't remember what year it was, it could have been 2008, a lot of people went back, a lot of British people went back, and I wonder whether, they needed more than we needed. I'm not, I don't need stuff. I don't really go for jewellery. I don't wear makeup. I don't have my hair done, as you can see. I don't have my nails done. I'm not following fashion. I don't have to have new things. I don't have to have all of that stuff. And I wonder whether those are the people that went back that wanted the same lifestyle that perhaps they'd had in the UK, wanted it here but couldn't have it with the exchange rate plummeted. I'm saying plummeting, but it did go down. It got to a point, I think, where it was down to 1.08. It's not far off that now, but it went down to about 1.08 or less. But we adapted. So I would make sure that we didn't just go out in the car for the sake of going out in the car. We'd only go out in the car to do 3 things, to make sure there's 3 things that needed doing, and we do them all on the same journey. And I tried to make sure we only filled up once, with fuel once a month. And I obviously was careful with the food shopping, stopped buying certain things, made different types of food, really adapted. And we got through, and that was fine. And it got a bit precarious at the point that Sarkozy decided that British people could not be in the health system, which meant that we were going to have to look for, and this happened at the same time as the check coming through, we were looking for health insurance, because we were going to get kicked out of the health cover, the French health system. And it was before we were both old enough, like before Mark was old enough to be back in it. But you get to a point and you're old enough and you go back into it because of the reciprocal arrangement. But at the time he wasn't old enough, so he wasn't getting his old age pension. I wasn't getting my old age pension. So yes, Sarkozy had decided that we would be not allowed into the health system or taken out of it. That was the bummer. We were in it and he was saying, no, you can't be in it. So we were desperately looking for health insurance, and desperately looking for health insurance we could afford. It was like a lot of money, especially as we were older. The older you are, health insurance is more expensive. So we were desperately doing that. And then he changed his decision and made it retrospective. So it didn't include us. So we didn't have to look for health insurance. So that was a relief. And the check came through, which meant we could buy the wood burner. So life began to improve a little bit. So we managed, and I carried on trying to be someone that does a budget. I had a spreadsheet, and I don't do spreadsheets. I can't do the equations. I don't do spreadsheets. So the spreadsheet has to be done for me by Jo, and then I just fill it in. And then every so often I'd say to her, it's gone wrong. Can you sort my spreadsheet out? It's gone wrong. So something had happened and it wasn't calculating properly. And I didn't do that. So yeah, sometimes I'd get it wrong. And so, it was really tight. You're looking every month and hoping, and as I say, towards the end of waiting for payday, and payday, and some weeks, it would be a long week waiting for payday. And it was like, no, can't do that. No, can't do that. Can't have that. And I'm quite capable of making food from very little. I'm always careful about leftovers, always make something out of leftovers. So that wasn't an issue. It's all the other stuff, if something breaks down or you need something or whatever. We've never been those that have a plan B or a backup plan or backup money, never. And then, so Mark was, in 2006 when we came, I was 51, he was 58. So he waited 7 years to get his old age pension. So after 7 years, he was getting his old age pension on top of his NHS pension. It made a big difference. The old age pension now, depending again on the exchange rate, is around 620, 630 euros a month. That was a lot of money to add on to his NHS pension. It made a big difference, and life began to get a little easier. We felt more comfortable. And then 18 months ago, I started getting my old age pension, and that was like the icing on the cake. It's like we've been really comfortable with that, so it's been fine. But it has been difficult, and I think about the people who are living on a lot less, who are now looking at the exchange rate as it was when I last looked. It's up and down like a tart's knickers at the moment. It's a real, they're calling it a cluster truss, not a clusterfuck in the UK. She's just sacked Kwasi Kwarteng. and the exchange rate is, it's not bad actually. I don't know why it went up. It was 113 2 days ago, then it went up, so there was a bit of confidence and it went up to nearly 116. Now it's dropped to 114. The worst it was in the last month was 108. So it's not been good, and it doesn't look very promising. I mean, God knows what's going to happen over there. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, the exchange rate. I mean, it's irritating, because you're seeing your income. For us, it's irritating. For other people, it's living on the edge. Watching your income shrink depending on how well it's being managed. The exchange rate, how well the pound and the economy is being managed in the UK, and that must be really worrying. Somebody asked me in a comment over a week ago now, because as I say, you've still got at the moment you're still getting Normandy. Tonight you had sunset from the bedroom window. Somebody said, we're looking to do this. They commented on moving to France from the UK, what they don't tell you, which I did months and months and months ago. Looking to do the same ourselves. Do you have any information on the practicality of living in France, i.e. council tax? Well, there are taxes. There's a taxe foncier and a taxe habitation, but I think the taxe habitation's been removed for lower income. But taxe foncier and taxe habitation are both on a par, I suppose, with council tax. But depending on your level of income, you may find you're not paying taxe d'habitation. I think the what was the TV license type thing, we've never paid that either. I don't understand that. I don't think we've ever, or maybe we did. Got a letter from oh damn, I thought it was from I was going to call him Sarkozy then. From Emmanuel Macron, and it isn't from him, it's from Bruno Le Maire, telling us that something, it's going, I haven't checked it yet. I have made other videos, it's worth looking, and other people make videos, it's worth searching, but it depends on living here and managing financially, and the practicalities of living in France. Depends on how well you can adapt, and depends on your income. There's a Facebook group, if you're going to be on a lowish income, there's a Facebook group called, I never forget the name of it. I mean, I never remember the name of it. Surviving a New Prudent Life in France. That's always worth looking at. Lots of tips there. Lots of help about, how do you do this? How do I do that? Lots of stuff about electricity. Electricity is important to know about. There's different tariffs that you can get. So yeah, look at that Facebook group. That should be helpful. And just do a search on Google on it. I think people are not going to be able to say to you, this is how much it costs to live in France, because everybody's income is different and everybody's costs are different. We could live on a lot less, but we don't, and we're lucky that we don't have to. But some people are really living on just an old age pension, and we did that. We managed that, and what is it? You cut your cloth according to your wallet, or something like that. Mr. McCorber would not like me. Mr. McCorber would be really pissed off with me. But Tom P. Talking of Tom P, we had, we're going to have work done on the house, and the guy came back who did us a quote for covering the ceilings with insulation and then putting plasterboard up, and we called him back and asked for it, and he came very quickly. The second time we called him, he said, yeah, I'll be there 2:30, and he was here. And we said to him, we want the ceilings down, we want the lot down, and then replaced, and then painted, and then painting the walls in here and doing because the kitchen's part of the ceiling situation as well. And we told him that we'd move out, and then we talked to him about painting the shutters, and we said this is what we want, and we want you to paint the windows, and he said, what was it he said? Oh, and we need you to liaise with the people that are making the shutters for us. And he said, well, that's, I won't say the name of the other builder that we asked, who did our roof. And we said, no, we didn't get a Debbie from him, so we've gone elsewhere. We didn't get a Debbie from him. And he and the other builder work hand in hand a bit. So I think he was a bit taken aback. And I said, well, we didn't get a Debbie. So off he went, and he said, okay, I'll come back to you with a quote, whatever. And lo and behold, later that day, around comes the other builder knocking on the door, asking what had happened. And we said, well, you didn't give us a Debbie. And he said, but you could have called me. And I said, it's not for us. I didn't say any more than that because I lost my vocabulary at that point. But it's like, he knew what I meant. It's not for us to chase you. But I think he was a bit, we thought it was really, I don't know what the word is. I don't know whether it's arrogant, but it was like he came round sort of, to put us on the spot. And I think he felt that on the spot eventually, because we didn't get into the, we're really sorry and all the désolé crap. We just said, you didn't give us the Debbie. And I tried to explain in my very poor French that in the UK, if you don't give a Debbie, if you don't give a quote, or you quote a really high price, it's an indication that you don't want the job. So I said to him, in England, that's what we understand. So we thought you didn't want the job. And I think, and he said, well, okay, Tom P for me. And I didn't even repeat that, but it was like, well, yeah, Tom P for you. So he wasn't happy about that. And we just thought, well, the other two people that we asked for Debbies came back with Debbies within days. We didn't have to chase them. So anyway, quite excited about all of that, although that's going to be months away. That's not going to happen till later this year, I think. I think I might have talked about that in another vlog, so I'm not going to say any more about that. So yeah, the vlog I made, you didn't get, this is the replacement vlog, and the one that you will have seen before this one is the one I did of us coming home from Chauvigny and me having a bit of a rant about politicians. I've tried to stay out of politics, you will have noted, but it's really difficult, isn't it? It's really difficult when you see what is going on over there. It is just unfucking believable. But I won't go into that now. I won't go, because there'll be more tomorrow. I'll perhaps do a whole vlog on it tomorrow, because it's been some time since I've talked about politics. And I'll try and get my fucking apostrophes in the right place. Okay, that's the end of the vlog. It's ending now. Just in case somebody thinks I don't end them properly. That somebody said I don't end them properly, so I went to check to see how they end their vlogs. There's nothing for me to see, so I don't know how I'm meant to do it. Okay, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, weekend, whatever. Bye.